Is going on, y'all? All right, so today I'm gonna jump in real quick here, and I'm gonna show you guys some workflow stuff, and I'm gonna kind of go through it from start to finish of how I approach things. So first thing off, I like to use GitHub and Git. So I'm gonna clone down my template project folder. So https // github.com /nasty Nate cg production, and we're going to clone that down, and that's going to bring my template project folder down. All right, so the contents of that's what's in there. I've shown you guys this stuff before, but I got some updates to it, which I'm going to show you all. And then next thing I'm going to do is just rename this folder, and I'm going to call it cg production. Let's rename it workflow today. And then we're going to rename that. We're going to cd into that folder. And I'm just going to clear the terminal, list out everything. And then I need to change it to my new setup. So I'm going to go git checkout, and I think it's called Blender structure, if I can remember this off the top of my head. And the reason for that is there's some new files in that technical folder. So let's make sure we got it right. All right, cool. Nice. So we got that. And I just want to make sure my files are there. Scripting, and then yes, there they are. All right, so now I can get rid of this thing that says Blender structure, because this is sourcing my original Git repo for my template folder, and I want to initialize a new one for the project, specific to the project. So with that being said, if I go ls force, you can see this orange folder here, and I just want to remove that. And so like this is how I start a project every time. So I'm just going to remove that folder. Force recurse, and recurse means that it's going to delete all the folders inside, and I just don't want any questions to confirm it. I just want to get rid of it without confirmation. All right, next thing. So now we need to initialize a new git, and then we need to add all of the files. So everything is getting added to this, and then we just need to commit it and then put a message. So git commit, get a message. Let's put the message, and we're going to call it initial commit for YouTube video, and then that's good, and it's just showing what's been committed here. And then now we have a master branch, which is brand new. Okay, so if I go get status, it'll say on branch master, nothing to commit, because we got everything committed. So all of my files in this project folder is being tracked. So with that being said, I want to change this master branch and create a new one. So if I go get branch, I can list out all of my branches, but I'm going to go get checkout -b, which means branch. So we're going to check out a new branch, and then I'm going to name that branch round 1 for the project. So now this should say round 1, which it does. So we created a new branch. So if I go get branch, and you will see two things in there now. So we got the master branch, and now we got round 1. All right, so now we're ready to kick off the project, okay? So I'm going to start off with round 1, and we're going to do some monkey heads. Another thing that I changed in that Blender structure, when I cloned it down and checked out that Blender structure branch, there's new files in here now too. So if we go here to the Blender folder, let's cd into there, and then ls. And I like to navigate through my projects this way. This is how I do it. I like to use the command line. Sometimes it's a lot faster. I get access to things right at my fingertips so that I can execute things pretty quickly. All right, so next thing, I got this template folder here, and if I go tree template, we can see the whole structure of that folder. Okay, so let's list it out. So as you can see, I have all of these folders, and everything is already set up in here. Okay, so in these things, I got models, right? So like I can set everything up, and everything is linked with each other. So this, and so on links, and this all link into this render folder or render file. Okay, and all of the files in here, they're all Blender files, and they all are named after the respective folder. Okay, and they all have the same name, just with the respective to their folder. So if I go FZF, which is a fuzzy finder, and then just show all the Blender files, as you can see, all of these files right here, production, accessories, master, production, initiative, master, they're all the same. And then we got production, render, master. Okay, so that's the final file. And then I have all these files cross-referencing into each other too. Okay, So everything's being linked into each other so that I can display things as I go into each file. And so there's a term that I like to always use called separations of concerns. So that helps me to keep my ideas clear when I'm working on projects. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to jump into Blender. So we're just going to make a copy of this folder. So I'm going to CP, ask for copy, template, and we're going to call it, let's call it monkey head, what should we call it? Monkey head 1. Let's do that. Okay, so monkey head 1, and I'm going to make sure it's forced just to ensure it happens, and then recurse so that I capture all of the folders inside of there and files in this template folder. So we're gonna hit enter. Now I just copied everything, and just to confirm, we can do this again if that works. Tree, monkey, listed out. Okay, so everything is there. All right, so now let's copy this location, and then now, or I can go, here's a cool trick. You can go set location and then set clipboard. That's what I just did. And so now this location is copied to my clipboard. If I think paste it, is it gonna work? Not right now. Let's do it again. All right, so I copied that to my clipboard. All right, so let's go over to Blender. Okay, so we're gonna switch to Blender, and I'm going to open here, paste. I hope it didn't copy my clipboard for some reason. All right, let's do it the old fashioned way. So I'm gonna PWD to show my location. Oh, I'm not in the right location. All right, so I'm gonna go back to my locations. This one and YouTube, there we go. And then workflow and Blender, there we go. All right, so we're in the right location. Let's see if it works. Copy to the clipboard. I don't think it's gonna work because maybe I disabled something. All right, it worked. All right, so monkey head 1. Let's go to model and fixtures. Maybe let's put the monkey head in the fixtures files first. All right, so we're gonna open that, and as you can see, this file opens with a bunch of stuff. Okay, so there's all these collections, and if you look right, they all have those names that I showed you earlier. So all of these files are being linked in. So if I go here to a Blender file, everything is linked, right? All those other files are linked into this fixtures file, and everything, all the other files, they're gonna look the same too. I even got the camera located here too. So if I drop a monkey head, let's just do that real quick. Suzanne, and then I'm gonna subdivide it, maybe smooth it out. Let's add a material so we can start rendering real quick, and then add a quick little material. Come on, render. And then see, turn on the natural light, and then we're just gonna add a quick little material. So boom, maybe we'll make it like a gold color. So let's go metallic, something like this. I'm gonna pull this back like that, and then I want to add some coat, maybe turn that all the way up, maybe set it to like 0.3 to spread it out, and then maybe I'll do my metal a little bit different. So I'll set the IOR to like 12. Nah, I'll just go with the other one. I like what I had. 1.6. Just turn the metallic up again. All right, so that's our monkey head. Boom, we got a cool little monkey head. We're gonna set it like that, and then now I could just save this file. And the only thing I need to make sure to do is that this monkey head is in the proper collection. So again, we're in the fixtures file, which is this yellow one. So we can always tell because of the yellow one. And I could drop this Suzanne head right in here. And it has my other structure in here too, but we're just going to drop it in the root folder, as I call it. All right, that's done. Save. All right, matter of fact, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to move this. No, I'm going to leave it like this. I like it like that. I'm going to leave it dead center. So I'm going to save it. And then let's go to another file. So let's go to environment. So we're going to set up an environment. And as you can see, everything is the same, except the environment collection is yellow now. All right. And then also we can see the Suzanne heads here, right? But that is linked in, right? So I pre-linked everything up already, right? So we're going to drop a plane like this. And then I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to scale it up. I'm going to take this, Bring that up, and then scale this out a little bit, and then maybe bevel. Yes, bevel. And then I'm going to roll my mouse up to give some subdivisions to this. Nice smooth roll. And then we need to get rid of those facets. So we're going to shade auto smooth like so. And then now we got a nice little background. Okay. And then maybe shift this up just to make sure it's not going out of camera, but I can already see it's not. But we might edit this camera. So we're just going to be giving enough space. Maybe pull out the psych ground a little bit too, like that. And then we got a nice psych going. All right. So we got the background. So let's do another test. Maybe just preview render it again. And then I'm going to turn on the default HDRI. And then even though this is like a default white, I'm going to give it a material anyway. And then call it white background. White BG like that. And I'm just going to leave it on the default settings. Maybe just make it more matte finish. So turn the roughness all the way up. And then let's look through the camera real quick just to see what we got. So I'm going to look through my camera. All right, so this camera needs to be backed up, okay? However, we got to remember that this camera is not natively in here. So if I move this camera, it's not going to show up in the final. So we need to go to the camera file, okay? So I can go to the camera file now. So we can adjust the camera, save it, and now I'm going to go open, and I'm going to go over to my camera department, as we want to call it maybe, and then go to look dev. As I got these tabs set up, I can pull back like that, and now I've reset my camera, right? And so let's do another check. Okay, and again, we don't have lights in here yet, so I'm always testing with these default lights. Okay, so that's our light setup, right? So now I could go and play with the lights. So now we got our camera set up. I could save this, and then now I can go and do the lighting department, as we want to call it. Here we go. So turn this on. And again, everything is pre-linked up. So every file I jump to, right, all of those links are still showing up. So even as I'm dropping assets into different scenes and making edits in different scenes, everything is being updated as I go through these different linked files. All right. So we're going to go to look dev, right? So we did that camera, and it's in this updated file now. And now let's play with the lighting. So now we're just going to hit render, and we're going to drop an area light like that, and then move that, scale it up, and then let's rotate it upward 90 degrees. Nice. Make it bigger, larger, shift it, get a good position for the light, right? So now I can, maybe I'll do it like a track. Nah, I'll just leave it like this. So I can probably add a bounce card. So let's add another bounce card, and then rotate that 90 degrees, scale it up to bounce some light back in the shot. I'm gonna turn off this T panel, and then maybe we could play with the light some more. So I could shift it downward this way, maybe point it. Yeah, that looks looking nice. Get nice definition on it. So scale it up just a little bit more up, and then let's increase the intensity. So let's go up +1, +1, and +1. Maybe that's too much. Let's go down 1. Okay. So my workflow is also set up as an EXR workflow, EXR multi-layer to be specific. So I can always adjust the exposure in this in After Effects too. So I'm set up for After Effects and EXR multi-layer, and I've already got my color profiles set up in After Effects too. So let's save that. This is going to be our lighting setup, and maybe I could make this bounce card even bigger. Okay, I can play with the light source maybe more and like add a scrim. So maybe we'll do that. So let's see what the scrim is. So nodes, physical light, light customization. There we go, scrim. So we got the scrim on there. Nodes, I'm going to feather it 100% to soften the light source. And then color temperature, we're just going to leave it as is. So we got that light source softened out too. Okay. And then maybe I could shift this downward a little bit. And then, yeah, let's make it bigger. That's looking nice. I'm liking that. Shift it downward again. All right, cool. We got a nice little thing set up. Maybe I'll try turning the exposure up again, see what happens. Okay, I'll live with this. I'm gonna save that, All right. And then now, okay, so if I go open, so all of these files, we've been working in all of the, let's call them production departments. Been in the modeling department, camera department, lighting department, and then now it's the final output. So we can go into this, and this file, I don't really do anything in this. Matter of fact, I need to delete this. I didn't even delete this. So we're gonna use this camera. So let's see. So the way, if you guys don't know this, you can link cameras too if you didn't know. So I have that camera as a separate file. And all you need to do if you don't know how to make it work is you go library override, make selected in content, and then now you have access to look through a linked camera. So now I can look through this linked camera like so, right? As we've been looking in the other files. So let's save this out. And then this file, right? I don't do anything with this file really. This is just a render file for a script that I'm about to show you guys that gets referenced. Okay, so let's say I'm done with this first round of work. Okay, and I'm ready to render it. So again, I could save this, go new, and then we're gonna go back to my command line. Okay, so now we're back here, and we want to render this now. Okay, so I don't render it in the file. I render it through a script. So I'm gonna go back up 2 folders. Okay, so those slashes mean 2 folders. And then, oh, wrong one. So we're gonna go workflow. And then we're gonna go to the script folder. So I'm gonna use Fuzzy Finder to jump to technical scripting. And then, so again, here's all my scripts, right? This script, these are all a collective of scripts that run a whole system, okay? And the entry point is this run file right here. Okay, so I'm gonna launch my coding program called NeoVim. And then we're gonna set some things up. So if I go run, right? So if we go run, oops, things running a bit slow. All right, so if we go run, right? This is the main script. So what's gonna happen is gonna render the file for Blender, and it's gonna run After Effects, and then it's gonna run After Effects again. Oops. So the reason it runs After Effects twice is because there's a script, there's a system to automate After Effects, and then there's a system to render on the command line with the After Effects. Okay, so that's how you automate like the setup of files with After Effects. So like that's what this script does right here. It'll go in, set up and automate the setting up of all my comps the way I like it, and then finally render it out. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna configure Blender. So scene config Blender, and then we're gonna go to this file. So we need to add the new file name, right? And we got to set the frame numbers that we're rendering also. Okay, and then we're gonna call it monkey head 1 to ensure that we have that right, that folder. We're calling that folder. That's what we're doing. And then I'm gonna jump here, and we're gonna render just the 1 frame 0 0. I started on 0 in my file. And then I'm gonna go to scene config After Effects, and we're gonna set up our comps too. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this, and then I'm also going to call this monkey head 1, right? Everything is staying congruent to the folder. And then we're gonna name that monkey head 1 as our file, save, and then save. And then we're gonna set up our render settings too. So render, render config Blender. All right, so now this is a Python script for Blender to config the render settings. So I got all the main things up here. This is a function to run all those settings, and then this is a function to ensure that my the proper GPU device is selected. So let's jump back up here. I'm gonna go to samples. I'm gonna set the samples. Let's go 32. So let's go 32 first, just to set our preview. And then height and width is 1920 by 1080. I always set that by default. And then this is set to 8. So we got low settings as the start. That's how I always start my stuff. I do like to render my stuff at like 2048 samples as final, and then I'll set this to 32. But this is just preview for now, so I'm not gonna set that. I don't want it to take a long time. So I'll undo that, and we should be good to go. We'll save that. And then I'm just going to go WQ to save. This is how you save in NeoVim if you guys are kind of weirded out. But I'm going to save this out. And then now we're going to run the script. Okay, so here we go. So hopefully this works the first time. And then we're going to run it. So now it's looking for any files in that 3_blender file that's titled production underscore, I can't remember the exact file name, but production underscore render. So any file that has that name, it will render it, right? So there we have two, and then if I have the folder, right, monkey head 1, it's going to render that too, right? And so there's also that template folder, and I left that there too. It's also going to render that folder too. So any new folder that I use with that file structure, this script will automatically pick up the render file. So that's why I pre-linked up everything the way I did, because I just have to jump in different files to make updates. Okay. So now this is just going through, it's compiling everything. And this is what it looks like to render under the hood of Blender in the background. So I'll just make this smaller so you guys can see this text better. So like this is just all rendering under the hood right now. So it's going through all my add-ons and stuff right now. And then now you can see it's waiting for After Effects. It's going through that. So hopefully this worked. It might have rendered really fast. So After Effects is launching right now, and that's playing that automation part of After Effects, and it's going to go in and automate all the processes of After Effects. I'll jump over here because this is where it's going to launch over in this workspace. So After Effects is going to show up too right now. So here it goes. It's going to automate this process and then close it right back out and jump back to the command line. So now it's just setting up all my comps automatically, as you can see. And then it closes it out. And then now it's going to render those images on the command line. So launch in After Effects. And those images are outputting now. So right now it's on template here. And then it'll go on to the monkey heads. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I worked on this for a while, and I got it working finally. It was pretty fun to set up, and I want to keep optimizing it and refactoring it to make it even better down the road. So I got other plans to make it even better. And then eventually, probably maybe I'll share this out at some point too. But it's not at that point to where I could share it out, because you'll have a lot of problems that you'll have to troubleshoot. Okay, so it said no comp was found with the given name. So maybe I misnamed it. Right, I did. Okay, so I did HED. So I misnamed it. So we could fix that. Yeah, let's fix it first, and then we could go to the next step. So I'm gonna go scene config Blender. So let's make sure I name this right. All right, so we got that, and then scene config After Effects. So I misnamed one here. There we go. There it is. There it is. And then CIW monkey head 1. And then that's confirmed. So I'm gonna jump out this window, jump over here, and jump in this window. Monkey head 1. Okay, so we got it right. Jump out, switch over, jump in. That. Okay, so let's save. And I could disable these this time and disable this template, and then we can run it again. Yes, save, and let's render one more time. So now it's going to render it again, and it's going to just render those monkey head files. All right, so it's compiling, and then there it is. This is where it rendered. It's just so fast because there's only 32 samples. And then it's going through all this other stuff for Python, Blender stuff. And then After Effects once again, here it goes. It's launching. So you're going to see After Effects pop up. And come on. Waiting for After Effects. Let's switch over. Maybe it's over here already. Okay, so here it comes. And then it's going to set up those comps. And then we're good to go. Let's jump back over here. And then now we're going to render through After Effects. Oh, I forgot to change the frame amount. So we're going to have like 3 frames of the same thing. I should have changed that count too. So that's rendering, almost done. All right. And then we're going to jump to my mail out folder. So as you can see, it's outputting to this location. So we're going to jump over there too now, because that's the default location. And I like to overwrite files. I never like create iterative amounts of files. I don't really see a reason to anymore. I can just make a copy of it real quick, or I can probably script it so that I can keep a track. But even the renders, the raw renders itself, I pretty much overwrite them because, again, like I said, I'm using Git. All right, so let's jump back up, and then we're gonna go to my mail out folder. So 1 docs, 5 mail out, 0, and then I'm pressing tab to finish what I'm typing, by the way. All right, so like again, right, all that was automated. Even name these files too. So we're gonna open one of them and see what it looks like. So hopefully it was successful. All right, it's black. What the hell happened? I know what happened because I got an error in my script that works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't work. So what I need to do is launch After Effects and manually load up the file so that it will work. Okay, so I'm gonna launch the file in After Effects, and I'm gonna do an ampersand and FZF, and then I'm just gonna quickly find that After Effects file and launch it. So let's launch that, and we're gonna jump over here. This is the one thing. See, this is why I don't want to give this whole automation script out yet, because I got some kinks in it. And it's fun to see it as I go through it, so that you guys can see that I actually do have kinks, and I'm just gonna troubleshoot this real quick. All right, and then I need to jump over to stills, because this is where things render. And then I'm gonna copy this location to just ensure I have the right location. So there's the comp. This comp was automatically made, and it was automatically made to have all these other layers too, right? So I'm gonna open that up. Oh, let's close that. So let's make sure we have the right comp open. Monkey head one, there it is. And then, so we got all these layers set up already. And then all we need to do is go to the frames, and then I'm gonna go replace, file, load this up. And then it's already jumping to the right location. So all I'm going to do is, no, it's actually not. So let's go here. And then we're going to go monkey head right there. And then load that up. And then now it should load. Let's see if the render loads. And I'm going to bring this up. Is it loading? Something going on. Maybe it's not. Okay, so what do we got going on? Oh, I know. So there's another thing part of the script. I know what it is. So again, I'm using multi-layer EXR. This is another thing I need to fix so that it gets automated to turn this on. I'm trying to figure out how to make sure that happens also. So let's turn that on, which it is now. Let's isolate this and see, make sure. Then is it going to show? Let's check my alpha channel to make sure this worked. Okay, so we got a solid alpha channel, RGB, and then not getting anything yet. I wonder if it rendered on a different frame. So you go 1, control. Let's see, go back 1 frame. Huh, we're not getting anything. Okay, so let's do some troubleshooting. So maybe I can load in a new one. Let's try that. And then I'm going to drop it down here just to make sure when I ensure that it's not 3D channel, extractor, V-Ray combine, and it should show. All right, so we have a problem. All right, so now we need to go backtrack. So this is troubleshooting. Now we're into troubleshooting mode. So I'm going to backtrack and go into the Blender file again. So let's switch Windows, and then we're going to go Alt here, and we're going to go here, and let's render it to make sure it works. Okay, so it is black. Okay, so I missed something when I had set up this whole template. So what did I miss? Because I have, does my light file have lights? Because we did put the light. So there's a light. So that's where we messed up. Okay, I know where I messed up. So I did not make sure I put this in the collection. So like, that's the beauty of the collections too, is you could work in a file, and what some of the things you don't have to have it show up in the final, as long as you leave it outside of the proper collection. So where I messed up is I did not put these lights in the collection, in the light collection that gets linked in. So only this gets linked in, not this whole file. This one collection here gets linked into other files. So if I save it now, I'm not going to even open the render file. So I saved it. I'm gonna be so confident not to save the render file. And then I'm gonna get rid of that extra file we brought in. I'm gonna save this. We're gonna close that out, and then we're gonna render it again. Okay. So let's go back up. I think I have to go up 3 levels, and then FCD, and then I'm going to go into scripting here, and we're gonna run it again. So it should work. Let's keep our fingers crossed. All right. Let's see. All right. So it rendered right there at the bottom. It's going through the samples, finished, and then it's going to launch After Effects again. Here we go. Boom. It's launching. It should update it. And it's like one of the scripts that I have in After Effects is to refresh the comps also. So just in case they don't get refreshed with the new frames, because I'm overwriting frames again. All right. So that's going to process, and then now we're rendering through After Effects on the command line. So if you guys ever wonder, like, why would you render on the command line? Why do they offer those kinds of features? This is why. It's because when you know how to work the command line, you can create scripts and automate stuff to make your life easier. So like, you know, rendering managers, like those are really under the hood using a lot of different scripts to automate tasks. All right, so let's go to the mail out in 000, and then let's check this monkey head. See if it rendered. All right, there it is. Boom. Right, and it looks a little different from the rendering because that we did in Blender, because again, those After Effects comps that I automated, I had a template comp where when the new comps get made, it's pulling certain layers. So I have like a LUT, right, and then I have some noise. I think I have some noise. Yeah, so I have a noise layer on here too. Some other things. All right, and this rendered at 32, and it's pretty smooth, right? All right, so now we're done with that, right? Boom, we got our first render. We delivered to the client. Let's do some cleanup work. I'm gonna delete all these template files since I don't need them. All right. I'm gonna remove monkey head 1, and I'm gonna remove monkey head because we just needed 1 image. Right. So we're gonna make some updates. Let's go back up, and then oops, once again I did it again. All right. So let's go back to our project folder. X YouTube workflow. All right, so let's go to the scripting folder, and then all I want to update is that scene config After Effects so that it renders the 1. And then so I'm gonna go jump to 2, render the 1 frame. Boom. Okay, so now we have completed our first round, right? Let's say we sent it off to the client. They're going to come back with changes, and we're done with the first round. So now that I'm done with the first round, I'm going to close this round out. Okay, so I'm going to commit this stuff and then make a new branch. So as you can see, there's some new icons here, right? So what Git is saying, hey, you made some changes to files. You've added some new stuff. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, can I please get the information so that I could track these new files and changes that you made to them? That's what Git is saying right now. So what I'm going to do is do a git status, right? I'm going to check, and this is showing everything that has changed. So we got some new files. We got an After Effects logs. We got some new EXR images, right? The images that we rendered. We made a new folder. We rendered out to here, and then we modified files also, right? So I made some modifications to the scripts when we added in the frames that we were rendering, and then we made some edits to the After Effects file. Okay, so now that we've showed the status, now we're just going to go git add, and I'm just going to go period add all. Okay, and then I'm going to chain it together since I've done this process before, and I'm going to go git commit, and then I'm going to make a message closing out round 1, new comments from the client. Boom. And then I'm going to go get status again. So this is just chaining by doing a semicolon. That's how you chain stuff together. So it's just going to run all of this at one time like a script. So I'm going to hit enter, and it's just going to run everything. So it's adding right now, and then it's committing, and then it did its status. Okay, so this is the commit area, and then this is the status area. Okay, so now that we've done that, right, we no longer have that extra information here. And then now that I'm done with this round, right, we got our branches, and I'm going to do a get checkout, right? So checkout, oh wait, get checkout dash B round 02. So now we're going to create a round 02. All right, so now the new branch is 2. Okay, and now you can see that I have more branches here, so I can switch between all of these branches. And when I did that get checkout on the round 1 branch, it made a copy of the current branch that I was on to produce this new branch. Okay, all right, so next thing, so now we're going to make some updates. So let's say the client says, yo, I want to add another monkey head, but this time I just want to make it copper or silver. I'm like, word. All right, let's do that. So let's jump into it. We're going to make another brand, monkey. So now I can go into my file, and I'm going to do a faster way of jumping into my file. So I'm going to go I'm going to make a copy of the link to the file like this. I'm going to go blend, and I know it was in the fixtures file, and then it was under monkey head 1, right? So I can type that in to even sift it down further. Boom. There it is. And then I'm going to jump over to Blender, open, right? Are we already there? I'm gonna hit enter again to open the file. So there it is. And we're gonna add another monkey head. Okay. So we're gonna make a copy, and then I'm gonna rotate it. Maybe we should look through the camera to do this. It's always better to close your shot through a camera. So I'm gonna look through the camera like that. And then we probably gotta shift this head over to kind of balance out the composition like that. Okay, and then shift that, press X twice. Maybe I'll rotate the head upward a little bit, up, like that, and then twist it, press Y twice. Nope, not like that. R, ZZ, rotate it out. Maybe I'll shift it back a little bit in the Z direction because they're intersecting. And then now we got this second monkey head, okay? And then maybe I'll rotate it out a little bit more. All right, so let's do a test. Right, so we can turn off the default light. So initially when I set this up, we had that default light, so now we could do that. Right, so now we got another monkey head, and I'm gonna make another material. So I'm gonna make this unique to separate it out, and then we're gonna change it to more of a copperish color if we can get that. All right, that's copper. Boom, done. All right, so we got copper. All right, and then now we got another monkey head. Right, so we're gonna save that and then be done with that. And we're going to make some updates. Okay, so hit new just to get out, and then that update is done. That's all we had to do was add another monkey head that was copper or silver. And then now I can go over here back to FCD, and I'm going to chain it again. So FCD, so that's going to be the search, and then I'm just going to run it right when it finds the right folder. And so I'm going to hit enter, scripting, and then run it. So it's going to run immediately. So now we're just going to make those updates. Okay, so all this, we dropped it in that fixtures file. We don't have to go anywhere else. We just added that monkey head, jumped out. Now we're going to render it real quick. And so this is round 2 for the client. So rendered, After Effects is launching once again, and it's going to run its thing. Here goes the updates. So I don't have to worry about doing this. So like, this is like tedious stuff. Imagine most times us 3D artists, we're always having to go click render, name the file, save it, and then we got to jump to After Effects, launch it up, bring in the new rendering, right? Because we have a new folder, and then now we have to export it out, make sure it's the right format. All of that stuff, right? It takes time. It cuts into your time. So like, this is a fast way to do it. And then you got to find the right folder path, right? So all of this stuff is automated. So I don't have to touch any of that stuff. It just does it for me. So like, then I'm done. So now I can go back up, right? And then FCD, mail out, and then 0000, right? Here's the update. As you can see, it's really late at night. Yeah, I'm up late. I am. Okay. And so it's 1 a.m. and then that's the latest rendering. Let's open it up. See what we got. Boom. There's the update. Got the update done. Send it off. All right. Now here's the beauty part, right? Let's say this is a more complex thing, right? We're just doing some monkey heads, but that's all good. But this is just to show an example. Okay. So now that we're done with this round for the client, I can go back up and then do another commit, right? So I can go again, git status, git add all, git commit, and message submitting renders for round 2 to the client. They wanted a copperhead monkey added. All right. And then git stat. Oh, no. Okay. So git commit. Yeah, that's it. And then I can run another git status if I want it. I don't need to do the git statuses. I just like to see the information. So everything is chained together. It's just going to run through all of that real quick. All done. Now we don't have any question marks or anything from git. So this round is done. Okay. So that's sent off, done. We got a copperhead monkey. Now watch this. Okay. Now I've shown you that I made all those changes, right? So I'm going to show you this real quick, right? So do you guys remember that we're rendering right to this folder? I'm overwriting stuff all the time, right? Right. So with that being said, you guys could say like, Nate, you're crazy overwriting files. Why would you do that? You got to like have rounds for the client so you can always go back to stuff. Well, I've been organized enough to be able to do that, right? We made branches, right? Branches for Git. So now let's say the client is like, yo, that copperhead is trash. I want to go back just to a gold head, right? That's what I like. So I'm like, no problem. I'll get that for you. Let's just change it back. Okay. So what I could do is just go git branch, right? I can list out all my branches. Imagine I had multiple branches. Then I can go, watch this. I can go git switch round 01 and it's going to load up this branch. So now it's going to load up. Okay. Switch to branch 1. Okay. So now let's go back to the mail out folder. Okay. Now watch this. If I go monkey, let's open that file. Come on. You can do it. We're back to the gold head. Same file, right? Same exact file, but it is the one monkey head, right? So now everything that I did in that round 1 is all back, even my 3D files. So I will even go back to the 3D files, right? So if I even go back to Blender, let's go back to Blender, watch. If I go back and open that previous file, watch what happens. It's just the one monkey head. Where did the second one go, right? And then I can close this out. And then now watch this. I'll switch back to the other branch again, right? So git branch to list them out. And then I'm going to go git switch round 02, right? So I loaded up this branch again. Now watch what happens. I'm going to load up same previous file. Watch. It's all back. See that? So what Git is doing, again, like I showed you guys, that's why I was doing those Git statuses to show you what's been modified, what's been added. Git, right? That hidden folder right here, this folder, it is tracking, version control tracking. That's what Git does. It does version control. It is tracking everything. That's what I did when I did that git add. I'm having this track all of the changes that I make throughout this project folder, right? And then I'm storing those changes in different branches, right? So that I can always switch back to those different states, okay? So with that being said, I can even make another branch. And then let's say the client, right? Let's say they like branch 1, let's say they like round 1. I can make branches of branches too. So I can make a round 1.1, 1.2, right? And that would be its own tangent going off into this other space of the project. And then I can make a branch of round 2 if I wanted to, right? You just have to initialize those branches from the proper root branch, right? So if I wanted to go off onto a tangent, I would start on round 2 and make a git check out of that. Or if I wanted to make a tangent on round 1, I would switch to round 1 and make a tangent of that. Hopefully that makes sense. I said a lot. But okay. So next thing, right? This is how it all works. I think this is, to me, this is like, I nerd out over this stuff. This is cool stuff because it's highly organized and you're able to track all your work. And then, you know, people would say, well, like, how come you don't keep track of all of your past rendering stuff? Where you putting that stuff? I can, but I'm not too worried about that because I'm always keeping different states. But if I really want to, what I do also use Miro. I can store a bunch of renderings on Miro too. So what I can do, I have this script that just, I have this function that I created in PowerShell to automatically make folders. So I can do this new date time directory. I always make my folders by dates. So I can just copy everything here and then put those files in here. Boom. Now I just tracked it. Okay. So now I got those renderings there, right? And then I can move on with life, right? And then again, just ensuring that I'm staying on top of it. I git add, right? And then git commit, because I added that new folder, right? Added a copy of the renderings and mail out to track progress, right? And so that's done and tracked. Boom. Okay. And then now I can go make another round if I want it, right? But I'm probably going to stop it right here. Okay. So that is like some of my workflow stuff I wanted to show you guys. And that's kind of like how I stay really, really organized with my work. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's a lot to take in. I know a lot of you guys are not on the technical scale of things, but to learn this stuff, it does take a little bit of effort and time. If you have that opportunity, I would say learn a little bit of like, if you're on a PC, learn some PowerShell, right? Learn how to operate on the command line in general. That's between if you're on a Windows machine or if you're on a Linux machine or if you're on a Mac OS, right? They all use Blender. And this is just 3D in general too. I would say like learn a little bit of technical skills when it comes to doing 3D production, because it is immensely helpful and it helps you to become even more organized as an artist too, I would say. But then you get this new ability to do some things too. So, and then also on top of that, you got the access of AI these days. So I could tell you right now, these scripts this whole scripting, automation scripting that I made, this is not all me just coding this all up. I had the help of ChatGPT. A lot of conversations with ChatGPT. So these scripts were my existing knowledge of things mixed with ChatGPT, and it's immensely helpful. So you guys have a lot of tools these days with modern production, which is so awesome to me. So like this is what some of the inner workings of the PowerShell script. So all this stuff is like PowerShell based. So it's PowerShell, Python, and old JavaScript, which is called ECMAScript 3. So that's what all this stuff is, to make everything talk to each other between After Effects and Blender. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this.